Okay, now we're officially live. Cool. Hi, people. So, uh, what's up? I don't even know how to start a live stream like this because it's not one of the beat review shows or whatever. This is just, you know, it says in the title and everything. It's just a chill hangout. We're just gonna hang out in the studio, fiddling around with a few things, talking about a few. I don't even know. It's not a podcast. It's nothing. This is nothing. So don't, if you're here to like, you know, all hyped up because this is going to be something, it's not. This is not going to be anything. It's just me having a lazy Sunday, being home alone, and I just figured, yeah, I want to be in the studio, setting up a few things, playing around with a few things, and maybe we're gonna make a little bit of music. Maybe we're just gonna sit and talk. We have a lot about a lot of gear from Nam that I kind of missed out on. Could be nice to check that out together with you guys. Maybe not. I don't know. The mic seems a little bit too. Let's crank it. Oh, okay, that's too much. Whatever. We're just here, you know? It's just a Sunday. I'm spending some time in the studio, and why not just fire up the cameras to do a little bit of a live stream? So wipe the hype off the mat. Wipe the hype off the mat before coming inside. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I don't expect to have a lot of viewers. This is nothing we do for clout or for anything. This is just, you know, hanging out. Normally in my live streams, whenever I do the beat review things, I get a lot of questions about a lot of stuff that I can't address. Like, what do you think about the new MPC3 update? What do you think about the future of a machine? What do you think about hardware versus software? What's the best sampler to get for a beginner? Whatever. And some of that stuff could be talked about here. Some of that stuff could just be forgotten about. I don't even know. So we have a few people checking in, and that's nice. Allow me to take your hype and hang it in the cloakroom. Yeah, exactly. This is not content necessarily. This is just me spending time in the studio, you know? So if anyone has any questions, this is like the perfect opportunity to just ask away, just talking about stuff. I really don't have an agenda whatsoever for this. I went down to the studio and I had some updates and some installation and stuff to do and some setting up over here with my ROG Ally for my secondary setup. That's all going to be covered in a different video, but you know, that's something I'm doing. Right now it doesn't work, obviously. Yes, it does. It does work. So let's load up just a simple piano sound. That didn't sound like it was supposed to. And it crashed. So I'm experiencing a few issues with this secondary setup over here in that the complete control software just crashes right off the bat. Whenever I try to do something, sometimes it just holds up for hours, sometimes it crashes. So let's load up the same piano. Now it's not hooked up to the audio interface. So I don't know. It's social content. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Social content might be. Just me hanging out, answering potential questions, or just, you know, figuring some stuff out. You never know. doesn't matter a lot. I see people over on Twitch doing these kinds of live streams pretty much always. Just hanging out, just talking about nothing. I do have a few things I want to address and say about this guy over here, the Korg Handy Tracks Play, because I'm getting a lot of questions. That was one of my better videos in a while, performance-wise. And it's a great device, and I kind of complained a lot about all the different small things about it, and people had opinions, and, you know, questions just comes in because it's YouTube and people are all over the internet. Yeah, Loopwalker says, this is why I work in the box. Yeah, and, you know, you're right in doing that, I guess. But for my stuff that I do, I've gravitated towards more and more hardware. You know, every month, every year that goes by, I'm just noticing that I very rarely open up Logic, which is my preferred DAW. I've tried Ableton Live 2 and all that stuff, but, you know, Logic is my main thing. And normally I don't use it much at all these days, because I'm on MPCs and I'm on samplers and synthesizers with you know, samples from records, and I do that stuff more than anything in Logic. And this huge ass MIDI controller with all the potential in the world to do all the great instruments from Native Instruments, from Arturia. I have Rhodes the Rhodes piano plugin too. I just don't get to use it as much as I want to, you know, which becomes a little bit of a problem. Because I have all the potential in the world in the computer. So many great instruments and so many great sounds, and I can access them just on Logic. Fine. But I decided to get a secondary computer. I wanted to get a Windows machine because I haven't been on Windows for I don't even know how many years. I'm all Logic, all Mac these days. I've been for years. So getting some type of Windows PC seemed like the best thing to do. And I also want to be able to do a little bit more gaming than I am right now. So I bought the ROG Ally X to do a little bit of gaming in bed. You know, I played through The Last of Us Part 2 the other night. No, I finished it the other night. Such a fantastic, awesome game. It's a whole new world for someone like me. I used to play CS 1.6 back in the day, and I've had a Nintendo Switch, so we've done a lot of, like, you know, Breath of the Wild is the best game I've ever played. But I used to be into CSGO, CS 1.6, and I played a lot of Far Cry games and Baldur's Gate and stuff. So getting a PC that could game seemed like the best thing to do, and getting a handheld device for gaming and also for a secondary computer in the studio made a lot of sense. So I went with the ROG Ally X. 24 gigs of RAM and that C1 Extreme processor, whatever. And it's been great when it comes to gaming, great when it comes to studio work, but for some reason today it just didn't hold up. So the plan here is to have that one on the stand over here with the MIDI keyboard and the pedals, and for now my multi-poly. To have that computer over there, maybe hooked up to a mouse, maybe a keyboard eventually, I don't know. And using that one pretty much as its own thing. With this one, with the Native Instruments Complete Control S61. Because some of the NKS compatibility works really nicely together with, Arturia and stuff. But sometimes you just want to access it on the actual computer screen. So the plan is to have that one set up over there with that MIDI keyboard, dedicated to that setup, and running that to a separate external audio interface, and then routing that audio interface to my main setup. and the patch bay, which allows me to route the audio from that one to pretty much anything. And that seemed to me, that seemed easier and better than having it on the same computer and like routing the audio back and forth, dealing with feedback and everything. Because the signal I get a lot of feedback whenever I do that. I have something in Logic and I'm trying to take the signal out of the patch bay and then back into the MPC. So then the audio comes in and out at the same time, and it's just a nightmare. So this seemed like the better thing to do, and I guess it is. But a few things needs to be fixed and set up to have it kind of like permanently set up there. Because now we have this nice piano from Native Instruments, the Gentleman. And right now the audio is coming from the device itself, not through the audio interface whatsoever. Maybe it's just a matter of rebooting the audio interface. That might be something. Because the ROG Ally X also has 2 USB-C ports. One that does like Thunderbolt 3 or 4, and one, a little bit slower. So I have this dock. I want to leave that one permanently set up here too. So I can basically connect the MIDI the MIDI keyboard and the audio interface and the charger at once, and just running it. It's 7 a.m. here, East Coast US. Watching driving into work. Sad about work. Yeah. That's the thing. I have the majority of my audience are in America, and I'm in Sweden. And right now it's a Sunday, 1 p.m. So it's in the middle of the day, which means, 7 a.m. That's early in the morning. Unusual time to open the obligatory beer for the accurate stream, but hey. Yeah, it'll be flexible. Okay, cool. I wouldn't recommend drinking beer on like 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. Yeah. Depending on what kind of line of work you're into. Still doesn't work. Fuck. So let's disconnect that USB and rehook it back up. And that one is just the MIDI, yeah. MIDI device not recognized. So I'm basically having a really bad time when it comes to using Windows in general. I'm not saying Windows is necessarily a worse platform than Mac OS, but if you're used to Mac OS, getting into Windows is definitely a different kind of world. Manual updates for pretty much everything. I downloaded Spider-Man 2 like yesterday, and I wasn't able to update my driver for my graphics card and everything. It's just what it is working with Windows. I'm not a huge fan of it. Right now I'm having issues with my ACO driver. Audio Fuse ACO. And of course, navigating Windows 11 on a touchscreen is definitely not optimal. But there we are. So this is my secondary computer. So it is what it is. Now it works, and now it's cool. Now I'm able to route that audio into whatever I want. So it's cool, really cool, that Akai brought some of the Native Instruments plugins and expansions on the MPC platform. But in this case, I'm gonna have access to everything from Native Instruments on a separate device though, and if I want to use it on the MPC, I'm going to have to sample the audio, and for my workflow, that works really, really well. That's pretty much how I want things to work. To have as many things in the studio that generates audio for me to then just record and chop up and sequence and use. And that's what I'm going to be able to do. Or that's what I am able to do. But a little bit of finagling with the ROG Ally, it is what it is, I guess. So, what are people saying in the chat room? Come on. For real, this is for me more a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, it's not optimal, but whenever it's all set up, I'm actually not using my MacBook Pro much for music production whatsoever in that case. So I could be able to use the control and the S61 as an instrument. You know, a lot of people are always saying that buying something like the Multipoly, it's basically just a computer and a plug-in in a MIDI keyboard, in a synth, which is true to some extent, but I'm just doing that times 2,000, you know, because I want to be able to use this as pretty much a standalone thing without even having to think about it as a computer. But with the complete control interface, I could be able to do a lot of tweaking and browsing around for sounds and plugins and things without necessarily using that as a computer, you know? I'm kind of taking it a little bit too far, stretching the truth, but you know, the ambition is to use that entire setup as its own little ecosystem and having that one running into my main setup and then it's just cool. It's 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. My bad. The time, you know, the time zones and stuff messes someone like me up. I'm very Europe-centric in my life. I don't know. It's 7 a.m. I know, guys. Klangstrom Guitars says, "Hi, Accurate." So, hey, back to you. I just got an MPC Key 37. Looking forward to getting to grips with it. Yeah, for sure. I'm starting to get... I don't want to be too negative about things, you know, but it's right here. It's one of my main devices, or pretty much my main device for everything I do these days. But the more I'm working on it, the more I start hating the looks of it. And that's subjective, of course. It's just my opinion. But the fact that it's red like this, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. And since I make videos and stuff, and I take like thumbnails and photos in here, it's just this big red thing that I'm not a huge fan of the colorway at all. So it is what it is. It's not the end of the world, but it's a great device. And in my first video on this one, I called it the best MPC for most people. And I stand by that a lot. I really do. It is the best MPC for most people. Because most people doesn't need like the MPC X special edition thing. Most people kind of doesn't even need the Live 2 in my book. This has everything. Keyboard, pads, and all the functionality that it needs. Spray paint could be an option, sure. I've actually thought about that. But since everything is labeled, you know, just covering it in like gaffer's tape and then spray painting it, how would I deal with all these labels, you know? It would be nice to just spray paint it gray or black or whatever. But then I'm gonna have to do something about all the labels because it's white printing on the red surface. So then leaving like small squares that's red. I don't know. Thinking about it, but it's a great device. It's fantastic for what it is. There are skins that are labeled. I know, but buying a skin and applying that, it feels, I don't know. Maybe we're gonna check that out, or maybe not. Point about the laptop. I have any type of music production. I used to use Reason 13. But something about the tactile feel from a standalone unit from the MPC XSC can't be matched. I'm totally with you. Totally with you. Tomba Sports. I have the same thing. That's why I'm saying that I'm not using my Logic setup as much these days, because hardware is just more fun. And if I want access to everything from Native Instruments and from Arturia and the Rhodes piano and other things in software, using something like the Complete Control S61 makes a lot of sense for me, because a lot of the things can be tweaked a little bit. That depends on the instrument itself. When it comes to this one that I loaded up right now, the Gentleman piano, there's a lot of settings on the menus. So without even thinking about the computer, I can do a lot of things from the device itself. So is that hardware or software? It's software, but an MPC is software too in one way, because it's running software. So I'm trying to treat my Control S61 as a hardware device. And the best thing, the coolest thing ever would be to just hide the ROG Ally away and just use this one as a standalone thing. And it doesn't really work like that, but kind of. Because I'm noticing whenever I work on something on the MPC and I want to add like strings or piano or something that's decent quality from the MPC, some of the built-in instruments are fine, but Native Instruments just makes better instruments for their dedicated plugins that runs in Contact and whatever. So this would be a way for me to access those sounds and still having it. Sure, it's a hybrid setup. Everything's hybrid. But I would get access to that just using the hardware itself. To me, it makes sense. Because just like on any digital synth, I can go into Browse and look for presets. In this case, I could go Browse. Maybe I want to use, Jacob Collier Audience Choir. Just load that up. And not thinking about it as a computer. Or Browse, my favorite one, of course, Rickenbacker bass. And I haven't saved my favorite preset. I think it's that one. The MPC doesn't have sounds like that. And as long as I can treat it as any other synth in here, just patch it in my patch bay to get the signal in here, to me that's pretty much hardware. I know it's not hardware, and I know it's still a gaming device, and I could choose to play Session on there, or Last of Us, or whatever, but kind of not. My first idea for this was to hook up my Mac Mini and using a tiny external monitor and a mouse and keyboard. I don't know about that. This feels like a solid option. And to be totally honest and truthful, I'm not going to do a lot of tweaking on that, because if I want to tweak a synth sound or anything, I have synths and I have things to play with. But some of the basic presets from Native Instruments with all these things, and also Pigments 6, of course, are really great as they are. So let's browse. Let's move into... I don't even know. Let's go for... Monarch. Bank? No. Type? Sure, let's go for sound effects. Fine. Take that one. Yeah, a little bit too loud. I'm sorry about that. But why did I go with sound effects? Let's do drums from Monarch. Or even better, I have battery. Of course I have battery in here. So let's go to Queensbridge Story. Load up one of the kits. And that's basically, the way I think about it, that's basically machine, right? But I'm not going to use this for any type of sequencing whatsoever. This is just a nice way for me to have access to all the sounds and all the instruments on there. And then sampling everything as audio. To me, it just makes sense. Let's see how it works in the future, because just now it didn't hook up to my audio interface for some god-awful reason. Now it works again, and that's cool. Let's browse for... Sure, let's take that one. Or... that one. Let's just say that I love that snare. Patching it into the MPC, just hitting a one shot and just getting it in here, you know, gives me access to a lot of expansions and cool stuff. We gotta go Raspberry and Linux. We gotta write our own instruments. Yeah, and that's a level I'm not comfortable with. I like the idea of being such a nerd and so deeply into tech that I kind of know how to use Linux and program things. But the truth is, it's never gonna happen. Too much into making music to have the time to learn Linux and programming and stuff. Never gonna happen. There's so many key groups that have been created by other users for the MPC for orchestral sounds. How about those? I have some of them and they're pretty decent. Yeah, I've checked out some of the community created stuff before, and I'm not saying that it's bad, but to me it becomes a little bit finicky. This is also really finicky, sure, but you know, relying on what I have makes a lot of sense to me. And since I have this long relationship with native instruments, I have the complete control, it's just complete, right? Complete 15, the entire thing with everything that goes into it. So being able to take advantage of those sounds, to me, it just makes more sense because I already have all of that. And using it on my actual computer doesn't inspire me as much anymore. I bought every new plugin they ever. I bought every plugin they ever sold. But I know what you're saying. There's something different with BST. Yeah. There's something nice about having things like set up from. It's not just because it's a big company or whatever, or because I like Native Instruments or anything. I just found the audio quality of all their stuff to be really, really good. And in this case, if I'm using... Right now, I'm running the Arturia 8 Pre as my audio interface for that computer. So the audio quality is really good the entire way around. and messing about with creative, like community created stuff is cool. But since I have this, and when we're talking about orchestral stuff and things like that, getting plug-in versions of like multi-sampled instruments just makes way more sense than trying to cram something like that into a standalone device like the MPC. It just does. When we're talking about, string libraries that are like 30 gigabytes or whatever. Not that I use that kind of stuff often necessarily, but I would like to have the option. Running that on a separate computer, just caring about the audio coming out of it, just feels like a cool thing. Sure, I could use... Someone said something about a class compliant interface. Is that with like something else? Yeah, I did that a few days, I think. I had that audio interface running as a secondary audio interface on my main computer. So I could like switch into Logic and not getting feedback and stuff because it's a different audio interface. And it just became too much to think about. Having one computer with two different audio interfaces, routing the audio back and forth. And I also wanted the ROG Ally. So, I don't know. A long time ago, I had an MPC 1000, but I wasn't very into it. I owned it 4 months ago. I owned it for 4 months or so. Is that today's MPC some kind of soundproofing filter, like the iPhonic RX950 sound processing filter? You can do a lot of like... The MPCs has different filters and plugins and stuff that can do that single word I'm always forgetting. It could modulate basically the sound from MPC 60 and the SP 1200 and stuff to just degrade the audio quality and like introducing bit reduction and stuff. And it's kind of cool, but it doesn't make as big of a difference as you might think it would. So you can do a lot of stuff like that, but you're also like just using they also have a version of the RC20 that's called something else. I'm forgetting about everything today, obviously, but let's see which one I'm talking about. I'm talking about not the decimator, not the granulator. Yeah, the Flavor Pro, which is pretty much an RC20 version, but a version of RC20. It does a lot of pitch wobbling and tape saturation and adding things that makes things sound less hi-fi. And that's, to me, a better option to just nail some settings on that one and save some presets. But you could also use like the SP1200 mode and MPC 60 mode to get some of that dirt. It's not 100% accurate to something like from the real thing, but it's kind of cool. It is. And it's definitely in there. If you haven't tried one of the newer MPCs, I would suggest like go to a music store or whatever, just try it out, because it's different when it comes to the workflow and stuff. It's different and a little bit special and sometimes a little bit hard to learn, but now with the MPC 3 update, it's easier. So that's my recommendation, to just try it out before you buy it. I can't remember how many IOs it can manage, but I can expand it quite. I don't know what you're talking about. A class compliant interface. So that's definitely a thing. You can hook up a class-compliant audio interface to your MPC and have access to more inputs and outputs, for sure. In my case, I've used this one for a while, and before that I used to use the MPC-1 as my main MPC, and just having two inputs works for me because I have the entire studio hooked up to a patch bay. And I rarely, if ever, record anything more than just one thing at a time. So I'm able to patch anything I want on the patch bay into the MPC. To me, that makes sense. I could even see someone going for a simple audio interface with just, two inputs, as long as you have an like a patch bay like this to do. Like, yeah, you have 10 synths and you want to, route one at a time to your audio interface. Now I have more inputs than that myself because my Logic setup is a little bit crazy, but it's cool. So Benj says, this is about Jack being able to expand the output of his MPC Key 37. Yeah, that's a different thing. I was letting him know that he can use a class-compliant interface. Yeah, thank you, Benji. Thank you, Benj. That makes a lot of sense. Using a class-compliant audio interface with an MPC is a really good solution, but in my case, I still consider, even though I don't use it much, I still consider my computer and my DAW to be my end-all be-all. So I work on things on the MPC and then I export things into Logic and I, do the mastering and some of my finer adjustments and stuff. Same here. I only record one thing at a time. Plus I use the Prism interface, which was so expensive I can't afford any more inputs. Sure, and having a lot of inputs makes a lot of sense for some people. When it comes to my setup, everything has its own place on the patch bay. So if I want to record something from vinyl into my DAW or into a machine or into an MPC or whatever, it's just a matter of changing a few cables on the front of this patch bay. It's really analog and really manual work, but that's also kind of what I love about it. And that's why this secondary computer is an extension of all that. Like, just starting up the multi-poly. Because now we have, for instance, the Mini Freak over here. Let's do something else on the complete control. Let's do like a normal instrument. Let's not go for drums. Okay, so that's it. Something from Glaze 2. Sure. Sure. And something from the multi-poly. I'm not cool enough to be able to do all this. The multi-poly and the Mini Freak and the complete control at once. So recording more things than one at a time, it's cool. And if I want to do that type of multi-tracking, I go into my DAW and I assign all the different inputs to different channels, and then I'm able to do it. But multi-tracking like that is not what I'm all about, and that's not what I want to do on my MPC. You could, but that's not what I do. Oh. How are you getting on with the MPC3 versus the older OS? For me, I like the older OS. I think it's actually faster, better muscle memory than the 3.3.0. No, than the 3.0. 3.0 seems a little bit more not really complicated but messy. Yeah, and that's the thing. I have this ongoing relationship with Akai too, right? And I have had access to MPC3 since before any one of you know about it. So I've used it for quite a bit, and I am really happy that they went this way. I know everyone is not. A lot of people are pretty much upset that they lost the legacy workflow of the MPCs, and I totally see that. Going through changes is always difficult, and something like this, the 3.0 update changes a lot of the stuff when it comes to the workflow. I've adjusted my entire workflow for this thing because I am such a huge fan of the MPC 3.0. I know everyone isn't. Like Marlowe Diggs, for instance, he's still, everyone has different opinions and nothing is right and nothing is wrong. To me, it's faster, it's easier, and it's better in pretty much all the different ways. It's actually been, I have a hard time remembering how the old system worked. I used that one for years and all the iterations of it, of course. But now I'm so deeply into this. I'm so heavily invested in the MPC platform and the MPC 3 update that what it used to be is just old news to me. I don't even care. If you are one of those users who have had a lot of issues, like adjusting your workflow and changing things up, I can definitely see the problem. People had issues with mute groups not working or pad mutes. And if that's something you rely on for your workflow, I can understand the frustration. 100%. I've never used that much myself. I've never used the song mode like that to do like pad mutes that way because I'm weird. But to me, having the entire timeline similar to a DAW, it's just better to me. And not being able to assign different programs to different tracks could be an issue. But for me, since I have this workflow of just whenever something doesn't work, just delete it and start over. So adding a new track with a new program is to me the most logical thing to do. Why would you be able to have like 3 different tracks with the same program for different versions of it? I can't see that. I would just do another track and another group and just start over. To me, it makes more sense. But everyone's different, and I totally respect everyone's opinion about it. And I'm just saying how I see it. Watch out, there's a fire on the desk. Nah, that's incense. Okay, it shows up on camera more than it does in here. And that's even crazier with the lighting. It's not that smoky in here. It's not as bad as it looks. That camera is nice though. That placement is Okay. That's better. Incense stick. Partly because it's nice. I just like the smell of it, and the fact that smoke is just nice. And a basement of 100-year-old house, so it just used to be the boiler room, so it smells like old oil, and it smells like stone. So having something that just it's nice. Can you also create a loopback on one of the audio interface's hand-wired output? But you must be leveling a bit lower and normalize it. Okay, you can also create a loopback on one audio interface hardwire output. Yeah. And since I use my Apollo X8 audio interface from Universal Audio, loopbacking is what I do for this, because you're just receiving one single audio signal, and that's the main output of everything. So that's the internal audio from Logic, that's everything that goes into the audio interface and everything that goes out, including the mic. So whenever I do live streams, it's all set up like this with loopbacking for everything. And whenever it's not set up for live streaming, it's just one track at a time. But setting up something like that on a separate interface for an MPC is also possible, for sure. Question: what do you use the poly and push on? Poly and push? Which one is that? Poly and press is my pedal. Poly and push. Now I feel like a dumbass. Poly and push. No, it's called poly and press. If that's what we're talking about. The compressor pedal from Polyand. I use that one on drums more than anything. Because now with this setup, again, I'm able to route anything I have going in battery into my pedal board and then into whatever. So if I want to do a little bit of pre-processing on something, add distortion, add reverb, add compression, or adding the generation loss Mark II for some lo-fi stuff, I'm able to. But the polyand press, it's not called polyand push, you know? Polyand press is the compressor. It also has a separate input for doing sidechaining, which is really cool. So I plan to set up some type of jam situation and just make a few videos on a jam, a DAWless jamming situation. And, you know, using a drum machine separately and routing the kick drum from that one into the sidechain input on the polyand press to do some sidechaining is really cool. Then I could use the compressor for, you know, a Rhodes piano or an entire sample track, and using sidechain compression from hardware, which is so cool. I've done a lot of sidechaining over the years on the MPC and in Logic and stuff, but being able to do it on hardware is really, really cool. And the lighting and everything on the polyand press is really snappy and really cool, and gives you pretty much the same thing that you're getting from a compressor in the computer, because you can see the gain reduction on the lights itself. It's really responsive and quick. So mostly for drums, but you know, anything can be compressed to a certain extent. I had this thing down here a few weeks ago playing with my bass and just routing that into the pedals and doing a lot of compression on the bass. Also brings out some of the gnarliness in like an electric bass. It's really cool. A part of me wants to show it off, but no. Because I'm not sure what my ins and outputs on the patch bay is right now. Does it even have an input? I think it does. Let's give it a shot. We don't have anything else to do, so why not? Let's go to battery. That one, sure. Let's see. Turning that one on. It's supposed to be that one. Come on. Don't give me a hard time just because. That's the input on the MPC. So that we know. Input 1. And sure, we also have to do now it goes into the pedals, but it doesn't go out. Ah, there we are. So, can we use that camera too? I'm just testing things out. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Kinda. Almost. Almost. So, this is the Polygon press with medium attack, short release. Turn off. Turn on. You know? So let's do just a little bit. Off. On. Off again. And on. Just brings out some coolness. It's a really good compressor for what it is, and in pedal form, it's just great. So now, since everything is hooked up together, let's do that compression, and let's also use the plasma pedal to do a little bit of that, but just a little bit. No plasma. Plasma. So using the compressor to just add more attack to a sound, or less attack, or whatever you want to do, and then adding the plasma pedal from Game Changer Audio to just add some saturation or distortion or some just grittiness to it. It's really cool, and it enables me to do a lot of sound designing with nothing but hardware and nothing but pedals. Pedals these days are so good, and they have so much more potential than just running a guitar into it and just having a like heavy metal type of sound going. And you know, increasing the low end, Now, those samples has a lot of noise on them. Let's go to that one instead. No pedals whatsoever. Plasma. Compression. Just compression. So it's obvious that the difference becomes really valuable and really useful. Now, no compression. Compression. So, you know, that snare sound, it's not bad, but now, you know, better. And let's do a little bit of saturation or distortion. Now the kick drum sounds way too distorted, right? But the snare sound, that's pretty cool. No pedals, 2 pedals. We can do reverb too, if we wanted to. Or just using the Generation Loss Mark II. It's so freaking cool. Let's do a little bit of that on the piano. I know, I'm not talking to you guys, I'm just messing things up. Generation Loss Mark II. Let's do... Can you hear that? It's too much. And compression. That's too much. You know, so we have all the options in the world just by using a couple of pedals. And that was me going into some kind of rant about all that stuff from one person asking about the polyend press. Whatever. You can go back to 1.15 of the emojis. Yeah, sure. You can always go back to the older firmware, but then nothing new is going to be added, I think. You never know. You never know. Why are you not branding and selling your own incense sticks as merch? That would be really cool. I would have a really hard time deciding what kind of fragrance to go with, though. Yeah, incense sticks get you in the zone. That's what it is. Nice sound. Can you tell me these pedals? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's stick on the pedals for just a couple of minutes. Let's do that one. Yeah, this is going to give you a headache, I know. So on the left we have the Game Changer Audio's light pedal, which is really cool and fun. It's a reverb with all types of modulation and stuff in the world. So we could do... Let's go crazy like that. Drive it. I like the sweep setting a lot. Let's do a lot of everything. It's cool. So the light pedal from Game Changer Audio, reverb. The plasma pedal also from Game Changer Audio. That's a distortion, high voltage distortion unit. It looks really cool too. Then we have Polyend Press, the compressor, and then Generation Loss Mark II from Chase Bliss. A great lo-fi type of pedal. That's my pedals for now. And I'm waiting for my mystery box from Chase Bliss too. The Christmas thing they did. Ricky Tines just made a video on his. So it's a mystery box guitar pedal. Yeah. Chris Head says, I have a new box arriving today to go alongside with my KO2 in McDonald's studio. Tell me about that. What's the new box you're waiting for? That sounds cool. Sounds interesting. And obviously, the MPC Key 37 is up and running. And also, the Mini Freak. Oh, Cresthead is waiting for a Seek track, or Seek track, the one from Yamaha, right? That's funny. Motif/montage. Getting it for the Mod X/Modic sound set. Let's just double check this. Seek track, SEQTRAK. I'm sure that's, yeah, that's the ugly one from Yamaha. I went to Bo's house, to Bo Beats, and I saw that one in the flesh. Not impressed by the hardware whatsoever. I think it's kind of unfortunate that Yamaha doesn't seem to make anything cool and exciting. That one was their best attempt ever, I think, but still. Beat Owl is also waiting for his Chase Bliss pedal, hoping for the Generation Lost. Okay, so Beat Owl, I'm not sure where you're located, but I think you're somewhere in the US, right? So let's say this. If I receive my mystery box and it has the Generation Lost Mark II, which I already own, and you want that one, let's do a switch. Are you up for that? The Clean is also a nice pedal. That's a compressor, right? That's the one Ricky Tina's got. I am really happy with my polyhand press, so I really don't want another compressor. But you know, that's the cool thing about buying a mystery box. You never know. You never know. It could be one, it could be more pedals, it could be this crazy thing where you are like, you have a slight chance to win every single pedal that you make. Beat Out is in Germany. Cool. Are you up for that though? If I get the Generation Lost Mark II and you get something else, let's make a trade. It's a mystery box, so you never know. But if you want the Generation Lost Mark II, I can't have two of them. That doesn't make sense, you know? Interesting, you say. It is. So, I mean, my chances for receiving the Generation Lost Mark II is tiny, I think. But I don't want two of them. Definitely not. So if I get that one, I'm gonna send it to you, and I expect you to send whatever you get in your mystery box to me. It's just a proposition, and you know, it would be cool for me to know that if I get something that I already have, then I could just trade it for something else. Okay, why not? He says. Let's try to, you know, I've played the same chords on everything today. Can we do something with that? So that sample needs to be adjusted right off the bat. $84, fine. Time correction off, for sure. Let's do something. The compressor needs to be on whenever I record. Okay. Erase. What's up with the metronome? No, that's not. Ah, that's something. Let's move those snares. Cool. Sure, let's add that one. That's fun. But I think we want to do an envelope on that one. Yeah, something like that. Fine. Cool. So, I don't know. That's a tiny little drum thing. Beat Owl, you had to commit. Are we making the switch if I'm getting the Generation Loss Mark II or not? Or does that depend on what you get? Because that would also make sense, of course. Chris had got the Seek track in January. 225 euros. That's affordable. Yeah, it is. That's not even affordable. That's cheap. Huh. My first-hand impression of the Seek track was that it's not for me. It's kind of, in the way it works, it's a little bit too similar to the OPZ. To me, I'm sure it's not that similar, but it's limited in all the wrong ways for me. I might be wrong, but that's how I feel about it. I'm often wrong, you know? It's not that my opinion is better than anyone else's. Well, that loop doesn't really work, does it? Yeah, it's good enough. Let's add another track. Let's do a plugin. And let's go for one of the new ones in the MPC. Which one? Which one do we want to go with? Native Instruments, one of those. Which ones are officially out? Analog Dreams, Cloud Supply, and Nashed, right? So let's use one of those. Okay, so Chris agrees the sequencer sucks. I'll be using it as a sound module sequenced by my KO2. Yeah, I guess that makes more sense. Because the sequencer seems to be the weak point of the Seek track. And using anything really as just a sound module, that changes everything, you know? That's the same mindset I have, but the opposite. Like the opposite mindset of I have with the Deluge. The sounds are what they are, but you can do a lot of cool sequencing and sequence different values of the synthesizers and stuff per step. So the sequencer is what makes that one cool, even though the sounds are what they are, you know? So using the Seek track in the opposite way, as a sound generating source more than anything, sure, I'm not mad at that. That's what I'm doing with this entire thing with the REG Ally. We don't want to start with strings, do we? Let's start with... Okay, now I loaded something up and it takes a while. No, went not as bad as I thought. Let's do... No, let's not use Analog Dreams. Let's go for Cloud Supply. That's a really cool one. I've used Cloud Supply a lot on this setup with Logic and the Complete Control. Having a version of it on the MPC is really cool. So let's just go through some sounds here. I was playing something like that. Huh. Oh, that one's nice. Cool. Huh. I want something more like that, to be honest. Having a large number of plugins is or presets is just nice. That one's nice. Like that, or like that. Who knows? An A minor with the D, and then the F minor. Sure. I want something else. Let's see what I want. No reverb. I think I want like a really long release on this one. Let's try to record some chords. No. An octave lower? Yeah, that's it. Huh. A little bit too muddy. Let's go for another preset. One called Major Issues. Oh. Okay, fucking camera. Yeah, okay, because it needs power. My bad. So now I think we want to go an octave up. Transpose an octave. Well, that's kind of cool. So what I'm thinking with this sound itself, we talked about the Flavor Pro, right? So let's add a Flavor Pro. Harmonic, air, no, okay. So my account is not what it should be. So right now I can't use that one. Why? Need to log out and log in again. Can we use the flavor? We can. I don't know. Melodies and stuff. I don't know about that. Let's add another plugin track. One of the new ones, again, from Native Instruments. Let's go with Analog Dreams for this one. We're gonna add a bass line. Just because. Or maybe even more. Becomes muddy straight off the bat. Bass, I don't know. That one has a little bit too much personality. Yeah, a little bit too much. Oh, that's awful. I like that plasma pedal. It was nice of them to make an affordable hardware version. The plasma is really cool. For my type of music in my genre, you need to use that one really subtly, you know? You can't do too much of it, because then it becomes heavy metal. Can we do like a really synthy bass on this? Maybe we can, but not that one. Let's move through some presets in Analog Dream just to... Okay, that feels more promising. Cool. Let's do something simple. But on beat, wouldn't that be cool? the last take. That's good enough for me right now. Let's see, I think we got some notes all wrong in there. So let's solo. That one has 2 notes. Let's not use one of them. I mean, it's not that interesting, but it's something. Okay. Do I want to sample that one into here, or do I want to find an instrument on here? I wasn't expecting to make this, so I don't care that much, but let's do a plugin. Again, one of the new ones. Let's see what we can find in Nasht. I guess it's not called Nasht. It's German. I guess it's Nacht, which means night. I think. And it's all black. And the entire interface is just black with a few white dots and stuff, so it feels like nighttime. I guess that's the purpose of it. Everything is nice. Everything is big and cool and, you know, like that. Which is not what I'm looking for, but it's still cool. Leads. Let's go for a lead sound. And I think my family just got home half an hour ago. Yeah, they are here. Which means we could sign out anytime. Okay. Something like that could be kind of cool. And since that camera is dead, let's see if we can just start it up again. And we could. Oh. I don't know. Let's try. No, but something like that. A little bit louder. I need to find a melody too. Okay, I think I'm getting there. No, the F doesn't work there. Last try. That's pretty cool. So let's go into, let's take that one out. Yeah. I don't hate this. Not at all. Huh. What happened? This became something. Okay, that's crazy. Sorry about that. So tells a story somehow. The story of the 3 chords we tried on everything just to demo some pedals. I don't know. Where did you order the mystery box? Yeah, Chase Bliss did this thing before the holidays. 1, 2. Okay, so the audio works for this one. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we're back. That's a crazy volume though. Minus. Cool. So that's the audio for that one. But now this one. Will it if I do that? Yeah, okay. It just needs to be rebooted somehow. Let's do this one too. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, that one seems to work. Technology, right? Technology is a crazy thing. I think the audio is nice now. So that was actually me opening up Serato. That's also one of the things I'm thinking about maybe using the RG Ally for. Because the Numark Scratch Mixer is also its own audio interface, you know? Which sometimes introduces a little bit of problem. But now this should work. And it clearly doesn't. Whatever. Okay, so the sync is off. I guess that's... yeah. So the sync for the video might be off because I had to like reboot the audio interface pretty much. Now let's actually try that. I'm gonna reboot the audio interface, so it's gonna be silent again. Reconnected, and the audio comes out on the stream. So I don't know if this is better in terms of sync. Maybe not. I'm just gonna have to do something else. You never know. And me trying to connect that one too. This is you know, we're gonna sign off real soon. I gotta go eat and say hi to my family because it's Sunday at 2:30 right now. And that one doesn't provide enough USB power. Huh. Which is good to know, of course. Of course. You never know. Technology and things, and battery and power. That's also something I failed to mention complete on my video on this one, the Handy Tracks Play. The power cable it comes with, the USB kind of adapter thing, is really short. It's crazy. Sure, it does run on battery too, but from my situation in here right now, just makes more sense to have it connected to USB power. But the included one is super short. So now I think we could have audio. You never know when you have audio or not, being in a home studio. But audio we do have. Well, you know, it is what it is. Adding a little bit of scratch on just a simple little blueprint of a track like that is a lot of fun. For real. And, you know, having something like this, it's great for something like that. If I wanted to do like all crazy kinds of things and just learn scratching, you know, for real, using my Techniques 1210 would make more sense, of course. But for something quick and easy like that, just trying out a few ideas, hooking that one up, just a mini jack and a USB cable, and it just works. It's cool. Dope beat, I don't know. It's not a bad beat, but it's not great either. And what's cool about a beat like this, or an idea like this, since nothing is sampled at all, it's just instruments, there's not really any limitations for what I could do, you know? So let's add, let's just take the mini D for instance. No, I don't have that one either now. My account is all messed up. But we know that the analog dreams work, so let's take that one. Since it's basically just 3 chords, you know, we could add anything on this. Anything. The first one is kind of like strings. Let's do plucks. Let's take that one. I don't even know what it is. Adding some type of counter melody on it. Not like that though, but just something simple. That's better. No. You know. It's cool. And we could do a lot of like side chaining and whatever, but we're not gonna. Save project as, and what's this? It's February, so let's call it Feb 01, because the scratches always makes it more official. I should have taken DJ stuff more seriously. Are you not taking DJ stuff seriously? You should. I mean, EDM DJs, I don't have a lot of respect for, because I'm like that. Mixing records in the same, you know, you have one track that's 132 BPM and another one that's 131, and then you just click the buttons and it's beat matched, and then you do something to get the pitch matched, and then it's just a matter of crossfading. I'm not sure I would consider that a lot of fun. It's valid, it's cool, it's a skill set to have, but adding scratching or just crate digging to your process of beat making is a really valuable thing. Whenever you have something simple like this and just do some quick cuts on it, it sounds more finished. It sounds better than what it is. You have all the opportunity in the world to trick people into believing that it's more finished than it is. And crate digging, like looking for samples, that's how I got started using records whatsoever. And when you start using sound sources from material from records, it's just, you're able to cut out just small bits and pieces with a crossfader. You can do pitch shifting on the turntable itself. You can do needle drops and just generate pretty much, random samples. That's also a great thing to be able to do. And in the case of the Handy Tracks Play, having the onboard delay, you saw me using it. It's dead simple. Just hitting the button, you have a delay, and turning it off, it's not there. To hide mistakes or the fact that you're not technically advanced is cool. So I would recommend anyone who doesn't know or haven't tried out anything that has to do with like the whole world of DJing to give it a try, because it's cool. At least it's USB, so it's easy to put a longer one. Yeah, of course. But what I tried here was to do the cable that's now providing power to my camera goes into my USB hub with nothing but power, and it's good enough for the camera, but it wasn't able to power the Handy Tracks, and it's the slowest USB port in my entire studio, so it doesn't have a lot of power. Makes sense, but still, you gotta know what you're getting into. You can't just take an old iPhone thing, wall wart, and expect it to work, because you have to do the calculations with the wattage and the volt and everything. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got the Vestax. Can't scratch with it. No, scratching is a technique. I know what I do. I know enough to do what I do, but I meet these people sometimes in Gothenburg who are like professional scratch DJs, and I'm not even touching a turntable around them because it's just embarrassing. But sometimes you just gotta be confident enough to do what you do. I know that my keyboard playing kind of sucks and my finger drumming is not up there and my scratch technique isn't either, but putting that together makes it cool. Oh, so you got the first version of the Vestax. Supposedly a collector's item now. I guess it is. This one is so much better in every way. And it is really cool. I said some bad stuff about it in the video, and I stand by that, but, nothing will ever be perfect. Except from this track. This is perfect. It's not perfect, I'm kidding. But it's something. You can do a lot of cool melodies on like the main instrument here. transition kind of stuff. Well, it's time for me to check out. This was just a quick and easy stream just to say hi and just hang out and answer some questions and stuff. And people has been coming in and getting out and whatever. And you had some questions and I dove into my pedals. And that's also funny to me because I dove into talking about the pedals and like showing how they sound and everything. And I didn't end up using any of that. The ROG Ally is connected to this keyboard and that could be sampled and I just didn't. I just used the internal stuff in here, which is what it is. So I'm gonna have to make videos about that entire thing because it's really cool, or just use it for live streams, But yeah, as I said, this was just a chill hangout on, for me, a Saturday, like around noon. Do you want to shut down? Yes. So I think I want to do this every now and then. Just going live to do pretty much nothing. Everything doesn't have to be thought through or whatever. And tomorrow night, 8 o'clock my time and all the other times for you guys should be listed on my website. Tomorrow we're doing another episode of Beat Review. And you're able to send in your tracks for that show to be featured. We're basically just playing music from you guys and we're talking about them, trying to leave a little bit of feedback and whatever. And what's new about that show now is that the submission form is closed and I'm going to open it as I go live tomorrow night, my time, to open the floodgate and just receive submissions and close it again. So it might be open for 10 minutes, it might be open for a couple of hours, I don't know. But collecting submissions in beforehand seems less fun. So we're doing the new thing again. We're going live and I'm opening up the submission form and I'm doing, that thing, sending you guys to that webpage to submit your beat, and then you're going to be featured on the same night. I think that's nice. So thanks a lot for hanging out. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night, my time, which is in 24, 25, 26, I don't know, 30 hours, something like that. I'm going to announce that on Instagram and in the community tab on YouTube. But for now, this is it. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And take care and have a nice evening and everything. Because, it's a Sunday and everyone deserves to have a good time. On Sundays. Only Sundays. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Peace out, guys, and take care. Peace.